You are listening to
The Free Amigos.
Hey, I'm Casper.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Tony.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Free Amigos podcast. And today we're going to talk a bit about working on your passion, and in particular how to combine being an artist with being an entrepreneur. And today we've got a very special guest, Tommy, over in Finland. How you doing, Tommy? All good?
Hi.
You're all good, mate?
Yes, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Looking forward to get to know a bit more about your story, and in particular, you're a musician who toured around all over the world, didn't you? So I'm sure you got some awesome stories, and then we can go on to how we've met more recently. But we've got the other two of the Amigos as well. We've got Tony over there in Birmingham as usual. How you doing, Tony?
I'm good, mate. Thanks. Yourself?
Very
hey,
well.
Tommy.
Hi,
hey, Cass.
Tony.
How you doing, guys?
And Casper over in Lombok in Indonesia. How you doing, Cass?
Hello. Yeah, all good out here. Still lovely day today. And I've got a new background, as you can see. I've been working on these paintings all day.
I love it.
No, actually, I don't know who made them, but yeah. Lovely, isn't it? Beautiful.
Found it by the side of the road.
I thought, let's put some art into this podcast.
Very colourful. Yeah.
I've got some, not quite as impressive though, my artwork, but I'll have to work on that. I think, Tony, you had to kick us off with a couple of questions for Tommy.
Yeah, so Tommy, the main topic of this podcast, and to get you, why we got you on, is obviously you're a multi-talented artist, humanitarian, philanthropic type of guy that you are. You're a fun-loving guy, but you've got such a varied and background and history in your story up to this date and time. But for us, we talk about freedom and creating our own businesses, and what we would like to know is, like, someone like yourself who is a creative, who is an artist, like, how can someone like yourself become an entrepreneur?
Well, that's a really good question. I'm going to shut this door because my baby is crying. Hold on.
Okay.
That's the title of his new song.
Shut that door.
Does that answer your question?
And out he went, and
Good.
he never came back.
Next question. Next question. Bring me the whiskey. No.
Back to the commercials.
It's I have been entrepreneur-minded or out of the box thinking since ever since I remember, really. When I was 5 or 6 years old, I remember going door to door selling jokes. Right?
Jokes.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's funny that we don't think about our maybe philanthropic or even entrepreneurial journey when we think about our youth, our youngest years, right? Our most creative time, when we were not disrupted by things that we needed to do. So my cousin and I would go out and knock on every single door with our heartbeats going, nervous, knocking on a door, going, hi, would you like to hear a joke? So we do 2 for 25 cents and 3 for 30 cents, right?
Wow.
Something like that. And it was always like that kind of negotiation thing going on. Ever since then, that I remember anyway. And then, like, inventing stuff. And then playing music as well. But that was just, that was then my outlet, let's say. And then from that, my travels, then, with my parents, full on also always thinking outside of the box because you have to, you know.
You have to be creative.
Yeah, you have to be creative. Whether that's, I mean, it's all art. It's all a part of art. You know, being creative, right?
Yeah.
You know, whether it's going to a secondhand boot market and not getting any deals and walking away home and saying, well, I just lost an entire day on nothing, right?
Yeah.
But it's not about that. It's about the chase. It's about the journey. It's about the liaising, the communicating with the guy who's not budging, you know, and actually finding respect for someone that isn't budging. And then the next time you see each other, well, there might be a guitar for sale, or there might be a record player for sale that's, you know, that he doesn't know what he's selling. So my own journey in entrepreneurship started very young, without even knowing that that's what that was called. And then starting in hospitality in Spain back in the day, 91, full-time hospitality for 11 years. That was then full-time, you know, making money and, you know, playing music and all of that stuff. So I was always used to earning, you know, money. So for me, my entrepreneurial path has only really taken off properly when it comes to outside of music or hospitality since I really started digging into the marketing side of things, like doing proper research. I've been in maybe 5 or 7, maybe, I don't know, 7 maybe, multi-level marketing programs in the past, and they were all bollocks. They were all like, they were all bullshit.
Yeah.
Right? But it taught me to move on to what I was looking for eventually. And I didn't fall for the first thing, even though I did. I mean, I fell flat-faced on the floor with the first couple of ones. But then you learn that well, you know, selling a mop to, you know, door to door is not really, you know, it's not really the ideal way to go about it. And then, you know, then I started in like health products and stuff like that. But this anybody can do, whether you're an artist or not. And then the affiliate marketing side kind of kicked in. And I started selling microphones, I started selling headphones, I started selling guitar items, I started selling hard drives. I started selling all these things that I wasn't used to really, because I was full-time, you know, musician. And then I realized that, wait a minute, I don't really have to work full-time, you know, between $100 and $700, you know, per gig, you know, at the time in the US. That was kind of the rate, you know, depending on the gig. And that you can make money while you sleep, basically. Multi-stream. You know, you don't have to settle with you know, one item. You know, why settle with one item if you can have multiple items, launching them, you know, targeted properly, you know, into the you know, the realm of the ether of the internet, and let it work for you. So it's not about working hard. It really is about working smart. Yeah. And I think that if you're not doing this as a musician, and you truly are struggling or even as an artist, like it doesn't matter if you're a painter or not. You know, you can shop brushes. You can sell easels. You can sell lifestyles. You know, holiday retreats where they specialize on painting in groups or whatever. You know, the sky's the limit. It's out there. You just need to search for it. So how can an artist, whether it's a musician or not, become an entrepreneur? You really already are an entrepreneur because you're already outside of that box. You just need to stay outside of that box and keep thinking outside of the box. And keep thinking entrepreneurial-like, and, you know, record a video on your phone and upload it to you know, to YouTube with a few links, and place it in front of the right people.
Yeah.
And then let it do for you. Let the work do for you. Create a website with all the tags and all the keywords and all of that stuff, so that people can find you easier. And learn. Don't be afraid to learn. That's the key. That's the number one thing. Is don't be afraid to keep striving for the next level. Just like if you're a guitar
artist,
player, if you're a
you never go. I was imagining as a guitarist like you are, a drummer, you play multiple instruments. You never feel like you've perfected that instrument, do you? I imagine.
There is no top level. There is no master.
No, exactly.
level.
You're always going to be learning as a musician, aren't you?
Yeah, and that's why it's really important to not be a dick.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's true.
You can beep that out if you want.
No, keep it in.
No. It's just true.
But it's really important to stay humble and to keep remembering that you're not the best. Even if you're a virtuoso, crazy guy. I mean, I've played with those guys, and those are the most humble MF-ers. I wasn't going to say it. I didn't say it.
You can swear, it's fine, you can swear.
Absolutely right. I've got exactly the same experience there. Working with the bigger the artist became, the more humble and the more they started to understand that they were not gods, because then they would fool themselves, because they started to understand that there's no limits to creativity and there's no master level, and so now I've got it and I don't have to do anything anymore. So they started to ask just the members of the public who basically for advice, because that was and not the fans, but just people that were just people on the street kind of, and because they were given humble opinion, and or actually a real opinion on what was good or what was bad. And I've exactly the same experience there. But there's one thing that I also see in what you just said. It's really do like is that when you are whatever artist or whatever creative, of course you've got one benefit as a creative, that you are a creative, so you can create. The word is in there already. And I see that a lot of people who try to start up their own business in whatever form that is that they the creativity part, the creative part is the difficult part. I like that whole story that you said of what you did as a child, because that's kind of your inner child, finding back your inner child as a creative. I fully agree on that. But all the options that you give there, as in, you can sell brushes, you can sell easels, you can make a little video. Isn't that, and that is one thing I struggle with as a creative, and that's why I want to ask you as well, isn't there too many options as a creative sometimes? Isn't that you wake up every day with a new idea and go, oh, this is going to be it?
Yeah, is it focusing sometimes?
Yeah, there's so much out there. It's true. That's why it's most important to stick to your own, to your own passions, and not divert or not, drift off too far, especially in the world of creativity, because we're sensitive about our shit, We're easily offended if something isn't complimented, or if your work is criticized.
Or if it gets no reaction, that's the worst, isn't it? Like if you get
no reaction,
you want to polarize, don't you?
That eats you away from the inside. Where you make your new child, your new artwork, and you put it out there. It's big launch day, and you put it online, and then you just only hear tumbleweeds and chirps in the background. There you go. Well, that was a waste of time.
If people hate it, you're getting a reaction. You're getting something. But if you get nothing, that's the hardest. I find.
Absolutely, yeah.
Let me pull this camera up a bit.
Sorry. Don't worry.
I know it's all cozy and stuff. Let me get this camera, because I know you can't see me now.
Here we are.
There you go.
You can see. But you see, Tommy, just on that, where you say it was kind of, you had it very young. You're almost kind of like you were an entrepreneur when you were a young kid. Do you think you were born with it, or something you had to develop? Was it a situation in life that you're in where you had to go and make money because of your life situation, or was it just you were just born with this mindset? Because I certainly wasn't born with it. I wasn't doing that kind of stuff.
Case of nature versus nurture, maybe.
Yeah, but just like some people aren't born talented, you know, doesn't mean that they're not going to kick royal ass in life, and you know, might overtake, and most likely will overtake the one that is super talented, that doesn't have the amount of drive that the person that isn't so talented perhaps has, right? So were you, yes, I was kind of born into, but I mean, my father is completely bonkers.
Well, that's where you get it from.
My mom is crazy enough to absolutely 100%. And then it's like, I mean, I come from a rock and roll traveling family. You know, they're all musicians. They're all hospitality. Most of them are alcoholics. Don't do hard drugs like what I did in my teens and in my 20s and in my 30s and in my 40s. Just kidding.
And yesterday,
it was only my 40s.
In my 60s.
yeah, my 60s. No, so it was always like humor and lifestyle and fun, and always, you know, always challenging that, and I think it's a Dutch thing as well. Could you pass me that cigarette, please?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I'm dying for a cigarette now.
Casper's got special cigarettes. I don't know if you'd like those.
I wear my headphones not to listen to you. I've got some nice reggae on here, and I'm just going like this the whole conversation. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And I just watch a couple of guys having a conversation in the distance. Oh, man.
Where were we?
Do I think that your question, I guess, would be worded as, or
were you born with it,
as,
or did you have to?
Yeah, would you?
Was it a necessity for you to grow?
I don't think so. I don't think you need to be born with it. I think you just need to get in touch with your creative side.
Yeah.
I really think that there's the creative side. If you start getting in touch with your creative side, and you're open enough, and you're open-minded enough to become, to get more in touch with your spiritual side, or vice versa, if you're a spiritual person, and you veer out to your creative sense, and you become more creative about mindset. You become more creative about business, and you surround yourself with the right people, right? As they say, you're 20% of the 5 people. No, was it?
You're the sum of the 5 people.
You are the average. Of 5 people. Yeah.
That's it. You're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, something like that. I mean, it is all about influence at the end of the day, as well. Because if you're just sitting there on an island thinking about everything, overthinking everything, but you've got no one to be mentored by or be influenced by or being influencing to, then you're just sitting there by yourself, and you're not really going to get anywhere. I think it's just a matter of time before you might lose interest and get back to your 9-to-5 job.
Yes. Now, just on that this idea of working on your passions, I know we talked about it on past pods, particularly like this idea of 9-to-5. I know Casper's like almost allergic to the 9-to-5 job, because if he's not passionate, he literally cannot do it. I mean, it's so bad for him, his mental health, his general being.
Literally, yeah.
Is that the same for you as an artist? Like, is it a case that you just couldn't work on something you're not 100% passionate about? And what kind of effect does that have on you? Or has it had on your past if you've had to do that kind of work?
As I was brought up in hospitality, I was trying to get out of hospitality. I was 21, and I was 20, and I had to make up my mind: am I gonna do music full time, for fuck's sake, or am I gonna go and continue in the world of hospitality, which I already exceeded in that particular town in the south of Spain at the time? So, am I gonna retire in 10 years and sort it out, or am I gonna continue my passion in music and really go and do what I love to do? What was the question again?
Well, it doesn't even matter, but that is the big leap as a musician, isn't it? I mean, that's the big leap. I think that my first solo album, I called it The Point of No Return, just for the simple reason of pushing myself beyond the point of no return, knowing that I was not going to make any money with it, knowing that I knew that I had to give up my 9-to-5 job because most of my time would be spent in making music, but so I had to sell those little things. I had to go door to door again, selling jokes like you, kind of. I mean, I had to go back on the street, which is really strange if you have a career. So now you have to drop your career and everything that you know because you want to be an artist. Is quite a strange thing. And so you took that leap of faith.
Yeah. I mean, I still had to survive while I was changing, right? So 21, I said, I gotta leave now, because this lifestyle, as I was saying, like the drugs and the girls and the nightlife and all, I mean, not the girls so much, that wasn't really a problem.
You just want to, you sound like rock and roll. Like, girls and...
and the girls,
Just like all of them behind my camera, sorry.
So, sit down. Put your clothes back on.
Ladies, please, we're trying to record here.
Don't flash me while I'm trying to do that. Or mooning. So when I left Spain at 21 and after the whole nightlife, because it was a really heavy nightlife in Spain at that point, I moved back to Holland. And I know, Casper, you're from Holland and we haven't even spoken Dutch yet. Isn't that bizarre?
We will.
Hoe gaat het, jongen?
Lekker.
Lekker. There you go.
Gezellig hier, hè? Gezellig.
Gezellig, mannen. Ja, leuk,
Heel
man.
gezellig.
Let's continue in Dutch, shall we?
Yeah. It's way better.
Double Dutch.
Double Dutch. There you go.
Is it a Dutch thing? Like, it seems like there's a lot of people in our community, a lot of Dutch people in our community. It seems like it's kind of natural fit to be an entrepreneur. To me, there's a lot of English as well, but particularly Dutch. I've noticed. It's a trait, isn't it? I think.
Well, that was actually
Explorers.
to that's actually what you said to me in the beginning. Is with like going door to door as a child. It's literally what I did as a child as well. And I grew up in a tiny little village, 100 people living there. So everyone knew me and I knew everyone. And my mom literally just said like, just go and sell something. And well, what is that to sell? So what we did is we made like little tiny flutes out of a bamboo reed kind of thing. And I can't even remember. And so I had a pocket knife, and I could make a flute out of it, or a pen. Well, it wasn't really a pen, but and we were just selling these for 5 cents or 10 cents. And if they didn't sell, we had to go to that one guy who was too lazy to just mow his own lawn. So we did it for him every month, and that's just how I grew up. That was just normal. And we're talking about 5 cents, 10 cents, or whatsoever, but. We went door to door as well, and my mom literally just said, sell something. I've got nothing to sell. Make something to sell then. Come on.
Be creative.
Yeah, find
Use your
something.
imagination.
And you can't just pick up something from the floor and sell it. You need to be creative and make something out of it. And it didn't matter what it was. We could find a stick and we made it into a walking stick or a rod, or it didn't matter what it was. Carve some nuts into with a little face in it or something and sell it. And people would sell it just because my blue eyes, of course, but people would buy it because of my blue eyes.
Of course.
Excuse me, sir, would you like to buy this? Oh, yeah.
Little sweet Cass.
Yeah. But the thing is that I think that that's a really important thing when you say that. It's like find that creativity, and I think it is a lot in upbringing as well there. And I don't know if that's a Dutch thing or not, but of course I do know that the Dutch, because I've always wondered my whole life why the Dutch. It's such a small country. Why is it still a massive player on the world stage? It's still. It's still not. It's still on the map, and that's such a weird thing. It has been one of the biggest countries, as in trade and marketing and all that. And so I studied that for many years.
Well,
and the thing, of course, is that the Dutch are really good in trading and starting a business and becoming an entrepreneur, and they have that thing. So yes, our group has got a lot of Dutch people in there. because they love it. It's in our blood.
And super sober.
Yeah.
And actually, I think
well, not you and me.
Nuchter.
No,
not us.
No, not.
We're the only ones.
Not sober. No, but the word nuchter. The word nuchter is the direct translation to English is sober, but nuchter is. Well, you can explain maybe better than I can, actually.
Maybe like a mixture between like bold, straightforward, dry. Very dry.
Yeah, it's something called Dutch directness as well.
Dutch directness, which we find very funny.
Yeah.
Which can be seen as rude.
Oh man,
everyone else finds it rude.
When I got back from traveling and I got back to Amsterdam after being abroad for a couple of years, I was shocked. I was shocked by Dutch directness. It was really. I was curling up in the corner of my room crying because of my friends saying stuff. I was really like, whoa, you can't just say that. But they did, my own friends. And I forgot, and it took me a couple of weeks to realize, oh yes, Dutch directness, yeah.
That is, now you just brought it entirely forward why I was always afraid of moving back to Holland. And even when I moved back to Holland, I left Holland again for after 2 years, and then I moved to London for 3 years, and then on cruise ships for 2.5 years, then Scotland 2 years, and then America for 8 years, and now Finland for 2 years, whatever. But like those early years, I wasn't ready to go back to Holland because that's what it was.
It's directness.
And you just brought it right forward. It's that directness, that coldness, almost coldness, that it just wasn't really me.
Yeah.
Because I lived in Spain, it's very warm-hearted, very warm, ¿qué pasa? You know, mañana, blah, blah, all this stuff, and very international crowd. So for me to move back to the Netherlands at the time, I wasn't ready then, but if I wouldn't have done it then, I would have stayed in Spain and felt comfortable and stayed in my own comfort zone at 21 or whatever until now probably, right?
Yeah.
20 years later. But and even until right now, until you mentioned it, I now realize that I have overcome that.
Yeah.
That feeling of like, I don't know, going back to Holland's kind of harsh, because I'm not that harsh.
Yeah.
Like, I do it my own way, and I love being an artist. That's because, you got your own business, you don't give a shit. It doesn't affect you. But, and then of course the taxes and the government and all that stuff in Holland's crazy too.
Especially as an artist, you put yourself out there. It's your creation, it's your child, and then having an audience that is so harsh or so direct. The harsh bit, that's the weird thing about it. The harsh is of course just your perception or your perspective on the Dutch directness, and so they're just saying, they're just speaking their minds, and they just say, sorry, but this is really crap what you just made, and you go, can't you just go like, see a little bit something positive? No, yeah, maybe, but I don't have time for that. See you later. Cheers, guys. Bye. And you go,
can we just tone the directness down? Like, just give warm me up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really, really weird. And I think this is one of the things that when you, like what you did as well, you went abroad, and you don't know, because I know that when you the first time you went abroad was when you were 6 or 7, right? You said.
The first time that we moved out of Holland, I was 2. But then we moved back immediately. We moved back immediately because my mother realized that there was something not right with my brother, autism or something, and then we moved back again to Holland. Yeah. And
so but then the weird thing is, you must have been a direct Dutchie as well. Because it's a cultural thing, so you most probably grew up that way as well, just speaking your mind and being direct. And only when you really moved out, when you were 22, when you were really, or 21, what was it? When you really move out, and then you come back, and then you see it's confronted with yourself, right? You're being like, I'm not like that anymore. I grew out of that. For me, I would say I'm more mature, but that's again just relative. Well, that's a weird thing that you must have, or maybe still have it in you. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe I still have it in me. I don't know.
I think the more you learn about the world, the more languages you learn, the more culture you obtain, the more trouble you're in, the more you survive, the more you start from zero over and over again, the more you lose, more materialistic crap you lose, the more emotional value you gain, the stronger you become.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes putting yourself out there to really become someone that doesn't give a shit, and not because because they're negative, but purely as a survival mechanism for yourself. But only if you come from love.
Yeah.
If you're humble. If you use empathy, or if you are that, if you're compassionate and candor, straightforward, frank, like the Dutch maybe, and the English too, but the English are much more polite about it.
I was going to say, it depends on which part of England, really. Like, you get that up north, you get that. But I think down south, it's more like go out of your way to be, to not cause offence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's actually very typical. That's actually very typical because every country where I've lived, the north is always much more direct than the south. The south is much more laid back, much more
hospitable,
going with the lifestyle, hospitable, much more. And that's why I loved Yorkshire so much. I spent so much time in Yorkshire too, and up north and Scotland too. But even Scotland, southern Scotland, is so different than the north, Thurso and those places, much more straightforward. And but once you start losing that connection with your initial culture, that you were born into, I was born into that Dutch way, right? And my parents have always been very present throughout their businesses. They are entrepreneurs in the restaurant business. They've had so many restaurants around the world and always struggled. Their financial blueprint was all over the place, We make money in a beautiful place, have an amazing time, get wasted, sell everything, go to another part of the world,
repeat,
build something, sell it, we're bored, let's go to the next place in the world, sell it, let's go over there, meet all these other people and get in trouble and make it really difficult for ourselves, but as long as it's cozy and we're having a great time and we're surviving this stuff because we're strong enough. And that's the attitude that they have. But the financial blueprint wasn't really instilled in me to be able to say, okay, let's work smart. So, smart in that sense of being able to make a lot of money, right?
This is actually how we started the podcast as well, as in being creative and living in the now. It's even the whole conversation that we have go from left to right to there, point. And so as a creative, that how do you manage to keep that focus then to that goal, or that to make your financial blueprint a proper blueprint, blueprint, yeah.
A blueprint.
Sustainable. A sustainable model. Yeah.
If you ask yourself, and you guys know this because you guys are in marketing too, or in let's just call it marketing, even though it's actually it goes much deeper than marketing. Marketing is kind of the last thing in all of the things that you have to know before you start marketing. The first thing that, if you really want to challenge yourself, is ask, why the hell are you doing it in the first place? What do you want to achieve, right? What is it that you want to achieve in, and it's going to be ironic, and I hate this question whenever an employer asks me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I remember the last time I was asked that question, I was like, on a huge stage, 2,000 people, 50,000 watts, speakers, guitars, mosh pit.
A solo.
And the guy, right? And the guy was like, okay, table 4 is asking for you. Like, okay, fuck off. I quit. Yeah. So like asking yourself that question though, without somebody else asking you that question, it's like, what do you want out of life? You know, what is important to you?
What's your mission and your purpose, isn't it? This is something I'm doing at the moment.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of your business, isn't it? Like, if you don't know that, then you're going to fall down at some point because you don't know why you're doing it, and no one else is going to know why you're doing it. So you won't be able to attract the right people.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's a phrase I've heard when we listen to Start With Why by Simon Sinek.
Yeah.
And he repeats it over and over again. People buy why you do it, not what. No, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Yeah. Start with why? Yeah.
Okay, I need to get that one.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Yeah.
Put the link in the description.
Good, that's a good one.
Well, link in the description.
Yeah.
Put the link in the description, ladies and gentlemen.
Will do, down below.
That just gets...
And we'll put the...
affiliate link. But that just...
can we affiliate that one to me?
Everything.
No, just kidding.
Yeah.
But I just got me to another question, because the whole theme of this pod really is freedom. And so, you know, you talk about this whole kind of rock and roll lifestyle and people kind of romanticize it. Do you miss that sort of lifestyle where you're kind of touring around and you're sleeping on floors and you just kind of flying? You
make it sound so romantic. Sleeping on floors.
At times, but you're playing it, you do what you love. There's no structure or stability, is there? But you're just doing what you
live
love
for the
every
now.
night.
It's carpe diem, isn't it? It's like live for the day, isn't it?
Yeah. Do I miss it? No, I don't.
No.
Do I miss it? No, I don't. I mean, it was amazing. But to do the same thing over and over again without any progress, I was going nuts. I mean, I did it for about 15 years,
Wow.
full time, right? Full time, like straight up, like going from basically paycheck to paycheck without, even though I've got, money coming in from, different angles now. At that point, there was no vision of that, I was too busy surviving. I was too busy waking up whatever time of the day and not really progressing, So yeah, you ask yourself, like, what do I want out of it? Why am I doing it? Why am I doing it? Why? And one of the main key factors was that I've been injured many times, whether it was on the road, whether it was cruise ships, or whether it was on gigs and tours or wherever. Once you're injured, like, you're screwed.
You can't play.
You cannot. Yeah, you can't play. You can't make any money. So unless you have things tactfully in place, or you have a rich father or mother or whatever, it's impossible. It's impossible. So record good shit, put it out there, create a following. If you want your side business, like I am passionate for marketing. I'm passionate for being creative, and marketing doesn't do it justice. Actually, the word marketing doesn't do any of this justice. It's far too strict and square.
It's like I remember. Sorry, mate. I remember one of the first videos I connected with you on. It was you. I think you sang and you were playing a guitar, and I think I commented something like, "What are you doing here? Why aren't you like touring the world with a band or something?" And I didn't really understand all that back then. I thought I was there to learn online marketing. And I think you replied saying something like, "You'll find this out, that this journey is so much more than just learning online marketing. This is really about personal development, I think, and it's a huge tool for personal development." And so I can see now, the value in the journey, which I think you were kind of alluding to back then, which you've worked out. It's not just marketing, is it? That sounds really uninspiring.
How would you describe it then? You said 2 times now that marketing is not really fitting.
Doesn't do it justice, does it?
No. So what? Can you give me like a scope of how you would enrich the word then?
Yeah. So, when you left me that comment, and that was the music. I remember that now. The first time that we connected, right? That was the first time. And thank you for saying that. I appreciate that. You see, people can be nice. Dutch people.
I'm not Dutch.
Where?
Just
I'm
kidding.
not Dutch.
I'm not Dutch. I'm a nice guy. I'm not Dutch. Well, I mean, we all come from different backgrounds. You don't have to wear a suit and a tie to be in marketing. Those days are gone.
Mad Men.
Those days are, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, literally, there's a choir in front of me, 3 of them.
Volume down.
That was my baby crying, by the way. That wasn't me.
That's the name of his next song.
Yeah. Yeah. Marketing these days, I think, is all about like following what you want to do, what you're passionate about. Like I've got these like new what do you call them, lenses for like on your thing. Those are marketable.
You mean
this
like
iPad
lenses
is
for
marketable? The apps.
Lenses for on your phone.
Smartphone.
Or for your smartphone.
Yeah,
or...
for on your thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
These cones, these particular headphones I sell. Like, I mean, everything here,
It's for sale.
I use everything's for sale, guys.
No,
Let's go.
He's got like a couple of proper headphones there for the people that are not watching and just listening. If you want to buy a proper old headphone, I see 2 snares over there. Yeah, there's you can start a band with that room. So there's a couple of microphones over there as well, and it all goes for the same price. I will put them in the link in the description again. They go for €5 a pop. So. This is your chance.
At bankrupttommy.com.
Hey, am I good at marketing or what?
He's going to be back on the road again soon.
I'm broke. Yeah.
Very creative, Casper. Very creative.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's products that you use and you love, and then it's so easy to recommend it rather than just call it marketing. You're just kind of like saying, look, I've bought this. I love it. So if you were interested in the same thing I am, here's what I recommend. You're not selling something like a mop door to door, are you? Like, look, this product's amazing. I love it. I use it, and this is where you can buy it. So it's not really like it's not a challenge like you'd think traditional sales and marketing would be. It's different now, isn't it?
Yeah. And the journey, man. Like, let's not forget about that. Because it's not a goal, Being an entrepreneur is never about a goal. It isn't even about the sale. It's about what is the feeling that is behind the sale, like the achievement, what's that noise? Is that you?
Casper's praying now.
Must be
It's
me.
a call to pray.
Ramadan, yeah.
Must be my
Ramadan, yeah.
muted, but yeah, it's Ramadan, yeah. Every 10 minutes we need to be reminded that there is a God on this planet, and you need to obey. I'm going to cut that out, by the way.
This happens on every pod around this time. We get the Muslim call to prayer.
Yeah. No, but if you're not going to enjoy the journey of whatever you're doing, then don't do it, because you're just gonna die of weird diseases. Like, don't do that to yourself or your family or anyone that you're living with. Like, don't do that shit to yourself.
No, it's a tough journey. This journey to, you think I think a lot of people think, you talk about online business and they're like, oh, it's a get rich quick scheme, and they're put
Straight
off.
away.
But once you start, you're like, it's far, far from that. It's hard and it's challenging and you get lost at times and you have to just keep walking even though you don't know where you're going. It's like climbing a mountain, it really is, metaphorically. And, it's like any other self-development thing I've done, even the spiritual stuff I've done, meditation and plant medicine ceremonies. I compare it to that. It's tough work, but there's huge growth on the other side of it if you can just keep going and get through it. That's the real value in it, I think, is that growth that you get from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can do what you want to do then. Once you're growing and you're learning and you're you're not only learning, but you're also you're applying. So you learn, do, teach, thing that we know so well.
Yeah.
Once you start growing and you start really developing yourself, as what you're saying, you can finally be doing what you truly want to be doing without getting paid. Like, I became injured. I was much more driven to become or to learn about marketing because there was a gap in the financial side, for me. And then whenever I put my skin in the game, put the money where my mouth is, and I felt that pressure of needing to keep up with this thing that I decided, like, I'm like $3,000 into it now, $4,000 into it now, $5,000 into it now.
Deeper and deeper.
Now we're kind of, we're getting deeper and deeper financially too, but the way that I am most committed, because you got to know that about yourself too, is once that you start seeing that bank account going ching, 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 everything is coming out every month. And it's not only like the lessons that you're learning, but also everything that you're purchasing to get there, right? Mindset, a lot of mindset. The more I'm determined to do it, to get to that point, to get to, okay, now I'm advertising. I'm finally advertising. I'm finally putting myself out there. I can finally see that there is an ROI happening, that there's a return of investment happening for those that do. And that's the point that you're kind of, that's like the next step. Once that you start investing financially and emotionally and spiritually, and you're learning and you're growing and all this stuff, and you start seeing some return. It doesn't matter if it's €1 or 10 euros or whatever. It's like the biggest celebratory moment since that you started, right? Like, I made an affiliate sale. Yeah, it was only like 60 cents, but I made a sale. Yeah. It's working.
Yeah.
It's working.
You've proved working. The process, haven't you, to yourself?
You've proved. Yeah. And then it's like, okay, just keep going. And then it becomes easier, right? It becomes easier then. It becomes easier. You know the ways, and you know what not to do, and you're still learning a lot. It's exciting. And and then you can be free.
Especially if it's like subscription based, because then you really are talking about a completely passive income, and you build that up. You're not having to do anything for it. Something that Stuart talks about, in one of our main mentor, these checks that he gets in for huge sums of money and does absolutely nothing each month for it, because he's just recommended people to buy what he recommends. And so you just, when they pay their monthly subscription, you get a percentage. And so it's completely passive, and it just frees up your life then, doesn't it? You're not sort of tied to these things that you don't want to do for, just to earn money.
Yeah. One of the things that I find very important to add to that is that you're not just selling anything. Like, you really are selling a prosperous, improved lifestyle for someone. If we're talking about the same thing now, right? If we're talking about the same.
You mean like the mentors then, right? Or
mentors.
What do you mean mentors?
Yeah,
so,
the mentors. Yeah, the mentorship, but the mentorship is going to take you where you want to go. right? That's what you're investing in. The mentors is taking you from 1 to 10 within this amount of time. Whereas if you don't do it, it's going to take you this much time. This much time. So whether are you going to invest or not? Are you going to try to learn or not?
It's earn while you learn,
to get
isn't
to
it?
that point.
Earn while you learn.
Yeah.
That's the great thing about it.
For me, it's about I can finally just travel without having the financial worry, the geographical freedom. I'm gonna go back to the States, hang out in the studios there with my friends that I played so much with over the years. You know, pay all of them whatever they need to come and hang out in the studios and record and be passionate about our craft, not with a clock going tick 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 tick. No pressure on that end. If their families need to be taken care of, somebody's babysitters or something, you know, we've got that. It's like whenever there's a financial pressure when it comes to art, yes, deadlines are met quicker, but it's so unromantic.
Do you find it restrictive?
Yeah, of course, the financial part is a restriction, and then so one of the things that I have been talking about for a couple of years now is what I call the Van Gogh principle. Van Gogh, it's pronounced, but the Van Gogh principle, where he sold in his life only one painting, and so, but he kept on painting, and of course, now creating art. He didn't know during his lifetime that he was creating art, as in he was just following his passion, and he got money from his brother and from his landlord, and it was all a big mess. So that again comes back to what you said earlier, is that suffering as in something we talked about earlier as well, that you really need to fall down on the floor before you can rise up, and you really need to get rid of the love for material things and all those things. But that is quite a hard way to go. I can understand that most people go, yeah, you know what, I'd rather have my 9-to-5 job there for security. Or
yeah, but I chose that a long time ago. Like for me, that was very clear. When I was 20 and I decided to go full-time music and forget about the career that I already had, it was the way that I thought was, when I'm 75, and that was 55 years later then at that point, when I'm 75 and I'm going to look back on my life, what path do I wish I would have taken? I already knew the answer to that before I even finished that sentence in my head. You know, I was already committed to changing my life completely in a completely different part of the world. And, you know, and it just kept on going and, you know, kept on getting better. The more I started from zero, the better it got. You know, the better I got. Sorry, that sounds full of myself, but you know what I mean. Like, you know, it's about improving. So anyone that thinks that that is challenging, it is challenging. Of course, it's challenging, but it's also challenging to regret what you could have done when you're older and you're sitting in front of your grandchildren, you know, asking, like, you're telling them to take that risk because you didn't.
You have been listening to
Free Amigos.
The end of episode number 6, part 1 with Tommy. Please feel free to listen to part 2 with Tommy, where we learn more about his view on creativity and entrepreneurship. See you.
Adios.
Adios.